Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. I want to talk about a new feature coming to Age of Empires 2 in the next patch that I think is going to be pretty awesome. One issue that's always plagued the game is balancing teams when you have someone who's just starting to learn. If you wanted to play Age of Empires with a family member or a friend of a very different skill level, it's traditionally been difficult to get a good competitive game where everyone feels like they're contributing. Let's say you're a decent Age of Empires 2 player and you have a kid, partner, friend, or whoever that is much less experienced, and you want a nice low-stress game against the AI. You jump into a 2 vs 2 with them against a couple of moderate AIs, let's say, and what's the inevitable result? Most likely, as the more experienced player, you're going to completely carry the game yourself. You're going to be having less idle time, be advancing faster with more resources, leading to more military units, and the person you're playing with is just going to show up with a handful of units at the end once you've already basically won. Maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but by its nature, the strongest player on the team often gets more action in the game, and also ends up feeling like they contributed a lot more. Finally though, we may have a solution to this. There's going to be a brand new handicap feature added in unranked games, allowing you to boost a weaker player to the point they can meaningfully contribute to games, which should ultimately make things more fun for everyone. You'll have a new option in the lobby to turn on handicap, after which you can set it for each player anywhere from 100%, which is no handicap, up to 200%, the maximum level of support. In the past, some informal ways to balance games included things like a stronger player having to delete a starting villager or wait 2 minutes before they could move. But this system doesn't work by ever punishing players. It only works by boosting weaker players, which it does in a few different ways. The first is by helping the weaker player's economy. Immediately, you have an increase to your starting resources proportional to the handicap level, letting you make Dark Age a lot more forgiving. As you'd probably expect, since it mentions your economy, it also multiplies your collection rates by the handicap, meaning you can give someone up to double the usual income. That sounds pretty extreme, but remember, new players often have quite a bit of town center and villager idle time, so even a 20 or 30% boost could bring a player into a game that they otherwise wouldn't be competitive in. It also adds a building speed multiplier, which is nice for keeping up with houses, but there's no effect on trader gold or relic gold generation, which isn't a huge deal, but is probably an oversight. Even if it's just your villagers affected though, even an extra 5% general collection rate boost would be considered a very solid civ bonus, and going all out with double the usual income is truly comical to play with. Now, the one caveat I have to say about the whole thing is that you could argue this is counterproductive for actually learning the game. If you're a 1200 rated player playing with your 1500 rated friend with a 20% handicap, this is definitely going to mess with your build orders, and probably give you some bad habits if you use it regularly. That said, for someone who's new or just looking for a fun game though, with no immediate plans of ever playing ranked, I don't think that's much of a concern. Now, the handicap doesn't just affect your economy though, it also impacts building HP. It gives a straightforward multiplication and even handles the Byzantine's extra HP bonus just fine. This helps your walls, castles, and town centers stay up a bit longer, and it's almost universal that new players prefer turtling and defensive strategies, so this is again a perfect fit for the target demographic. It's not mentioned in the tooltip, but villagers also start with proportionally more HP, so they're a little harder to raid. You can see there's lots of ways economically you're off on the right foot, but that's not all you get. Another effect is it multiplies your military training speed, again depending on what level of handicap you set. This doesn't include villagers and trade cards, though if you doubled villagers' collection and training speed, you'd get 4 times the economy, so I think that was a good exception to make. Techs at the blacksmith, lumber camp, etc. aren't included, but military technologies at the barracks, for example, are, so it appears to be just a military building work rate modifier. Newer players often don't make enough military buildings, and given they'll have a lot more resources than usual now, this is a nice way to help them spend those. And finally, one last change is it gives a modifier for counter unit bonus damage. This is something I really love. It would have been easy for the devs to do an HP or attack multiplier on all units, so the stronger player wouldn't be able to take equal engagements, but I think that would have been the wrong approach. The problem with that is it would remove the counter system from the game, which could potentially lead to just spamming a single unit and the boosted player not having to think about counters at all. Instead of eliminating the counter system, increasing the bonus damage from it reinforces the importance for the weaker player in using the right units and learning them. In this example, blue has a 200% handicap and red has no handicap at all. Blue's knights take the normal 22 bonus damage from pikemen, and all of that works like usual, whereas red's knight is taking 44 bonus damage from the boosted player. Now, there are lots of counters that don't rely on bonus damage, but I think this inclusion works well as a teaching tool and also makes up for things like a stronger player's micro. That's the handicap system, and as a starting place, I think I'd try a 5% boost for every 100 elo gap between players if everyone has a rating. Or if not, just look at everyone's typical feudal time. Considering how many things it's helping you with, you really don't need too much here to level the playing field, and if that ends up being too strong or not enough, it's pretty easy to adjust from there. Next though, I thought it'd be nice to show a quick game against the extreme AI and have a bit of fun with it. With the full 200% handicap, I'm confident many players could handle 7 AI, but I think just one will make the point of how nicely all the different buffs work together. Let's check it out. Ooh, Mongols. Nice. Alright, well I guess we're going scouts then. Wow, that house was built very fast. Okay, I'll throw you guys in there. Because remember, everything's double speed here. So houses in half the time, resources collecting twice as fast. Okay, so we might want to mill that as Mongols. Go vaguely this way. Okay, that's actually not the best wood line. Let's go up here. Second elephant. Yeah, I noticed the new Arabia. You always get rhinos and elephants. Okay, we gotta bring these guys back, 'cause this is happening a little faster than I thought. Okay, do I need 3 on wood? That would actually kind of be nice, especially if I'm gonna do like a triple stable scout or something. In fact, why don't we grab one of our elephants right now? Look at all those starting resources, 400 stone. I gotta rush out of market so I can sell that. Because normally you have 200, but of course, all my starting resources are doubled. That's up here. Yeah, you can definitely see though, for somebody who has a lot of idle time, how this could totally make up for that. And my villagers have double HP, so I don't have to worry about that. A little worried I'm gonna go through all my food here way too fast. I'm gonna need some early farms. Let's go one more on wood. I don't think we'll get any gold though. Oh, did I forget to get? Man, everything's so fast. Okay, and we can advance. We'll advance by 5 minutes. Or at least we'll click up by 5 minutes. I could technically afford it right now, but I think I want a couple more villagers. Okay, so we're gonna be up before 7 minutes, which I don't think I've ever seen in my life. And we're gonna put out 2 stables. Maybe let's start getting that ready. Go. And there's the second one. Once you've done that, just making some houses. Yeah, I suppose we'll pick up bloodlines here. And this is so nice how fast this all is. Can I do 3 stable? I don't really have a food income right now, so maybe not. But very soon. Remember, this is producing as if it's 4 stables. Yeah, we'll keep those going forward. And actually gonna need maybe a little bit more wood. We'll see. Yeah, blacksmith, and I would love a market to sell that stone. Also, I was gonna say, could find some deer. Be nice. Actually, let's just go on forage bushes. Let's not get too complicated here. The poor AI hasn't even aged up yet, and it's got 9 scouts in its base. So obviously the intention of this isn't to just completely overwhelm and bully the AI. But you can see how a weaker version of this, like this really does fit together. Like everything's made faster, your villagers are collecting more resources, but you're also building things and you're training units faster, so you actually end up using a very similar build to usual. Just kind of adjust all the numbers a little bit. Why are you cutting from that far away? Maybe you need a lumber camp over there. Yeah, I should probably get a little bit of armor here. But yeah, I gotta be careful because I take the same amount of damage from the town center. Maybe we can dive under this for now. Oops. Yeah, I don't think we can actually directly fight the town center quite yet, but we're gonna get there pretty soon. I should probably get the first armor upgrade before I dive under this anymore. But saw an opportunity there. Grab wheelbarrow. Probably in the third stable here at any point. So I don't want to mark it first. Okay, taking too much damage here. Gotta keep an eye on this. Alright, so what was I gonna do? Right, I was gonna make another stable. I think I can. I'm cutting it a little close. By 12.5 minutes. That is a lot of scouts. Yeah, you can see how silly this kind of gets. There we go. Let me get the armor one, just because we're going to be under the town center. And poor AI has no idea what to do. Normally, it's actually pretty good about dodging units when it sees them and running away, but not so much this time. I think it's a little overwhelmed by what's going on. I'll get some stone, why not? Oh, there he is. He already resigned. Okay. Yeah, so obviously the point there wasn't the challenge, or even really to flex on it, but to simply show how nicely everything fits together. Like, you would think this messes with all your build orders and that it's just a chaotic mess, and it is a little bit like that. But the fact that you can still balance your resources like normal and just everything scales up together, I think makes this way cleaner than you would think. So hopefully at least some of you guys are inspired to try out the handicap system and, you know, play with a friend or whatever in those games that previously you couldn't really balance. And I'm thinking that this is going to be an awesome addition to the game at lots of different levels, but especially for people who want to play with a family member and bring them into the game. Even for myself, if I was playing somebody who was stronger than me, I could see actually doing this, and it's kind of fun to have extra resources. And so even if I'm getting the handicap, it doesn't really make the game worse for me. And if it gives a better game for the other person because I'm more competitive, then I think everybody wins. But that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.